The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown Show, a Hoop Ball presentation. My name is Adrian Benjamins and I'm joined by Neil Rochlani, and this episode of the Box Score Breakdown is brought to you by our title sponsor, Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. You guys go get some delicious coffee from Hawaii. Neil, does anything sound better than that?
I would love to be in Hawaii right now. Drinking.
Have you ever been?
I went there a long time ago when I was adolescent. I went there. So, but it's been several years to say the least. And I actually ran into someone the other day who was going to Kona this week, and I hope that they're drinking Hawaiian Isles coffee out there. So we'll see.
So I've never been to Kona, but I went to Hawaii for the first time. It was about 5 years ago to the island of Maui, and I loved it, Neil. It was amazing. Everything there is just better. The colors are brighter. The food just tastes better. Just, man, Neil, I loved it so much. I thought to myself, when I went there with my wife. At the time, she was my fiance, and we were both looking at each other thinking, can we just leave our lives behind and just get like jobs there, being like a waiter, waitress, whatever, didn't matter, but just to stay there for the rest of our lives? Like, is there some possible way to make that work, man? That's how amazing it was. I cannot wait to get back to Hawaii. But anyways, to get back on track, go get some coffee from the Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. And thank you for supporting the show and our sponsor. Neil, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend was okay. I had a couple get-togethers here, some family stuff, and other than that, kind of chilled a little bit. I was fixated on my fantasy basketball teams this weekend that turned out to be pretty good. I'm still trying to figure out one piece in my home league that I'm missing, and then in my head-to-head leagues, I'm still trying to figure out how to manage that going forward. Do I try to punt a category yet or not? So, and if so, who do I target? I don't know the leagues well enough to know how the average scoring is going to be every week. I'm trying to get some data on that to figure out what's going to work. Anyway, in both those leagues, I'm competitive, but not at the top.
Nice.
So we'll see.
Sounds like you're getting heavy deep into it.
Yeah.
I think I did the opposite this weekend.
Yeah.
I had some friends come into town, some friends I went to school with in my youth that I haven't seen in a long time. So I got together with some friends on Saturday. We ended up just all night playing cards and just hanging all night. And I completely disconnected from basketball, from fantasy basketball, for a whole day and evening. And on Sunday, I got up and I felt like, man, in one day, did the entire fantasy world just completely change? Like, what did I miss out on? It's so weird. If you just take a 1 day break, you feel like you are way behind, or that. So it's just amazing to me that in a day span, so much happens. There's so much movement and in the fantasy landscape, whether it's guys going down with injury, guys becoming pickups, or just whatever it is. And so anyways, today I felt a little like I need to get caught up on what's been going down. Speaking of, man, I think that's a good segue into some news. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go into a couple of news and notes before we get to the 4 games of tonight. I can lead it off if you'd like me to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I've got really is nothing today, but Denver. We've got Paul Millsap out with the toe injury, and then Gary Harris being recently announced for missing time with, I forget the injury, but he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. It's a hip. So he's estimated to come back January 1st. Millsap is estimated to come back January 23rd. And we know this is a high-powered offense that both those guys are fantasy relevant, to say the least. So now what's going to happen? We already talked about Juancho Hernan-Gomez, who I thought was still going to be relevant even when, what's his name? Will Barton was going to come back. And he's now even a bigger asset if he's not been picked up in your league. Pick him up immediately. Secondly, some people talk about Trey Lyles being relevant. I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction with Jamal Murray out. I'm going to go with Monte Morris. I think he has the best opportunity for fantasy value going forward in the absence of Gary Harris. So those are my thoughts. You have any take on this, how this might shake out for fantasy value? Oh, and the last thing I want to get to is Nikola Jokic. Obviously a great fantasy player. But last year, Adrian, he was in the second half of the year, he was number 3 in 8 cat leagues after the All-Star break, playing 35 minutes a game. So if his minutes go up, he's averaging 30 so far. If they go up to 35 because they need him on the court more, expect his value to get even better. But that's a big if. He may still only play. He played 32 the last game, so may not get much better, but keep an eye on his value as well.
You know, one of the things that's a little surprising is that the Nuggets they're up at the top in the Western Conference. I mean, there's only 2 games that separate first and 5th place, and the Nuggets are right in the middle of the mix. So this is the absolute worst timing for them to lose Gary Harris. Will Barton's already been out, and now Paul Millsap with the broken toe. So I think there's definitely a lot that we can kind of jump on and take advantage. As you mentioned, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, 100% needs to be owned. Neil, I checked every single league of mine. He's already owned everywhere. So if you didn't pick him up already and you're listening to this, he's already gone most likely. And then I'm going to sway the other way, Neil. I'm going to say go get Trey Lyles. And the reason is on Saturday, he played 38 minutes and took 13 shots from the field. So the shot wasn't falling on Saturday. He only shot 2 of 13 for 9 points, but he had 10 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, and it looks like he could be locked in with starter minutes, decent amount of usage while all these injuries are piling up for the Nuggets. So I think he's definitely going to be viable. And that's pretty much all I got on the Nuggets. What about you, man? Any last thoughts here?
No, I'm glad we disagree a little bit. We'll see. I think I think you might be right with Lyles. I'm just going a little contrarian with Monte Morris. Just from what I've seen on the court, I like his game a little better. But certainly Lyles will probably have more minutes. I agree with that. So we'll see.
And I'm pulling up their depth chart right now just to take a look to see if there's anybody else that could possibly be worth an ad. I'm not really too excited about anyone. We've seen Torrey Craig get starts, but he doesn't really blow me away at all. Monte Morris at times plays really good, but I think really Juancho Hernan-Gomez is the number 1 guy who'll benefit, and then I think Trey Lyles will be right there. All right, man. What do you think of the game slate tonight? Should we jump in there?
Yeah, no other news and notes that we see that are really that relevant. Just quickly note, Hassan Whiteside's out tomorrow or Monday night. Looks like John Wall will be as well. Nothing else to report. It looks like Draymond Green's coming back tomorrow. So if you have him, get him back in your lineups. Yeah, let's go on to the game. So you want to start us off?
Yes, sir. I'm going to start with I think it was the first game of the night. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Detroit Pistons. The Pelicans getting the victory here, 116-108. And I'm going to start on the Pelicans side, Neil, and I'm going to start that with Anthony Davis, who actually left this game with, I believe it was a hip injury. I saw footage of the play, Neil. Blake Griffin went up for a shot and kicked him, or his knee or his leg hit him right in the hip. It actually looked pretty bad, but he was available to return. So fingers crossed, Neil. I know you have a share of Anthony Davis, so I know you definitely do not want to see him miss any time. It sounds like he won't, but maybe that contributed to his semi-disappointing game here. He only had 6 points. 5 blocks is gorgeous, though, but 4 assists, 9 rebounds. He was no threes tonight. 2 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line. The big, probably the best line of the night from the Pelicans was Drew Holiday, who's just been balling this year. 37 points, did have 9 turnovers, which hurts, but he still had a great night with 3 steals, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He contributed 6 threes, was a perfect 3 of 3 from the line, and shot 14 of 22 from the field. Julius Randle, Neil, I think I was going to say he's probably the biggest beneficiary if Anthony Davis were to miss time. Of course, I don't think Anthony Davis will miss any time, but anytime I hear that, like, oh, Anthony Davis went to the locker room, I automatically think Julius Randle is going to just go crazy. So anyways, he had a good game tonight. 28 points, 2 blocks, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 11 of 19 from the field, 6 of 7 from the line. Very efficient shooting. Tim Frazier, where was this when I picked him up a week ago, man? 14 points, 2 steals, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from downtown, 4 of 4 from the line. Neil, I already let go of this guy everywhere, and I don't think maybe I don't think he's going to do this every night, but he's capable of having nights like this. Hill with only 5 points and 8 rebounds, and 2 of 2 from the field, 1 3 in 27 minutes. Off the bench, Mirotic with 12 points, a block, 7 rebounds, 2 threes, 5 of 13 from the field. Down games from Etuan Moore. Miller didn't do much. Diallo, not much. Not a lot else to talk about here, Neil. What are your thoughts on the Pelicans? What do you think of Anthony Davis?
Yeah, I was glad to see him come back in. Obviously, I have more than one share of Anthony Davis and a lot of just personal love for the man. So glad to see him get back in. Like you said, anytime he goes to the locker room, I get a little twinge, and it's good to see him come back and play pretty well. But yeah, Drew Holiday has been spectacular this year. Same with Julius Randle and Mirotic. Tim Frazier, yes, I've had a dance or two with him as well, where I think it's going to work out and it doesn't, so I let him go. But over the last 2 weeks, he is 93rd in 8 category leagues on a per-game basis. Really has been shooting the ball lights out, 63% from the field, not taking many shots. So scoring is hurting you, but he does get assists. The field goal percent, like I mentioned, and the free throw percent are the positive categories for him, and doesn't kill you in much else besides points and blocks. So I think if you want to pick him up, you sort of have to pick him up for a while, not just for one game at a time, because it's so hard to predict. Other than that, though, not much else to add. Should I go over to, is it Detroit?
Hey, yeah. Just so we don't miss anything, I want to note that Etuan Moore was actually supposed to miss this game with a lower leg strain. He ended up coming into the game when Anthony Davis went to the locker room, but then came out of the game. So this could contribute to why Etuan Moore only played 16 minutes and had 4 points. We've seen him have some good games this previous week. So I'm going to take into account the bad game due to he's dealing with some sort of injury. It sounds like a hip injury, or I'm sorry, lower leg strain. All right. I just wanted to note that.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in. All right. On the Detroit side, Blake Griffin led the way with 35 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 13 of 25 shooting, 5 of 8 from the line, 4 3-pointers, a steal and a block, 3 turnovers. Andre Drummond, 23 points, 19 rebounds, 1 assist, 10 of 23 from the field, so just below 50%, then 3 of 6 from the line. Took a 3-pointer, missed it, had 4 turnovers, a steal, and a block. Very quiet night from Reggie Jackson, or quiet afternoon. 2 points, 7 assists, no rebounds, 1 of 6 from the field, 2 steals, and a turnover. A lot of these guys on the wing are missing. Stanley Johnson's out, Reggie Bullock's out, Ish Smith is out, Bruce Brown getting the start. Played 19 minutes, 7 points, a rebound, 3 of 7 from the field, and 2 blocks. Oh, Glenn Robinson also starting on the wing. 15 minutes, but did not score. Had a rebound, no assists, no steals, no blocks, no turnovers. I guess he was just out there to run the floor. Let's see, not much else. I should say, there is one thing we should talk about. A guy you've owned before, Adrian, you talked about, Langston Galloway. This guy's been serviceable earlier this year and also in years past. Tonight, 37 minutes, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 of 20 from the field, 2 of 3 from the line, 4 3-pointers, 2 steals. What do you think? Do you think he's worth streaming at all now? I don't know enough about his game, and he's he's really far back on the rankings. He's still like 241. Doesn't really help you in anything but 3-pointers. Do you think he's worth an ad if he gets in the starting lineup, or what do you think?
So I'm glad you brought him up, Neil. My contribution to the Pistons was going to be, I was going to say that Langston Galloway is teasing me again. As you mentioned, Neil, he was worth a pickup at the beginning of the season. He had a nice stretch. I grabbed him in a couple leagues. I streamed him, and then he basically did nothing for me. And so I am very skeptical that this is fool's gold, Neil. I think, as you mentioned, they're missing Reggie Bullock. They're missing Stanley Johnson. I think as soon as they get some of these wing guys back, it's going to cut into Galloway. And this is his second game in a row that he's put up a decent game. I do love that he saw 37 minutes and, man, took 20 shots. So the usage looks like it's there. But if you're in a really deep league and you got some dead weight to cut, you need someone to stream, maybe you pick him up in the short term. But my expectations are pretty low, Neil.
Yeah. It's hard for me not to take anyone on the wing in Detroit has been kind of tough to own this year. So I think Reggie Bullock, when he comes back, maybe I'll start to watch him again. But, yeah, I don't think I'll pick up Langston.
All right, man, I'm going to jump into the next one. Next game up is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Toronto Raptors. Neil, I had this game circled on my calendar because two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. In fact, the Raptors 21-6 in first place. The Bucks are 16-8 in second place. So I was really excited to see this, and it did not disappoint. The Bucks, though, getting the victory here, 104-99. I'm going to jump in on the Milwaukee side. First guy I got to talk about is Giannis Antetokounmpo. 19 points with 19 rebounds, 6 assists, a block, a 3. 2 of 3 from the line, 8 of 15 from the field. Just a monster game from him. Chris Middleton, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but I'm not worried in the long term, but it still feels like something's could be a little bit off here. But only 10 points, 5 turnovers, 5 assists, 9 rebounds, 3 of 9 from the field. He did also add 2 threes. He was 2 of 3 from the line. I'm not worried about him. I think he'll be fine. Brook Lopez with a decent game here. 19 points, a block, 2 steals, 2 assists, 5 3-pointers from Brolo, 7 of 13 from the field. It's pretty good game, especially when you take into account those threes. Bledsoe, the shooting was ugly tonight. 4 of 14 from the field, 0 of 4 from downtown, 1 of 1 from the line for 9 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Brogdon with a great game here. He had 18 points, a steal, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, 3 threes, 7 of 15 from the field. Great game from him. Off the bench, they got 10 points from Snell. Ilyasova had 9 points in 17 minutes. Not too much else there. Neil, what do you think of the Milwaukee Bucks, man?
Hey, great win for them. I don't know if you saw the other night they had Golden State at home. And Golden State came in and just let them know who was king on their home court. That was a convincing victory. And for them to bounce back and come into Toronto, the king of the East, and win this game, I thought was very impressive. Giannis is looking like the best player out in the East. And like you said with Middleton, it's just, he had that issue with the coaching staff where he was out of game. I think he left early from practice or something another time. And he'll be back. He's fine. He's 34th on a per-game basis. Brogdon has sort of been his beneficiary. The last 2 weeks, Brogdon's been like 35th, I think, 74th overall. So he's having a solid year. And Lopez kind of towards the bottom of the fantasy value, but still doing okay at 90th. But, yeah, not much else to add here. I think it's just for Middleton. Don't worry about it. He'll be fine.
One other thing that I want to note super quick, they traded for George Hill. George Hill did not get into the rotation in this game. Neil, pretty curious to see how it's going to look when George Hill gets into this rotation. I mean, I don't think he's going to start over any of the guys in that backcourt between Bledsoe and Brogdon, but could be a really good spark off of the bench in that backcourt. So keep an eye on George Hill, and let's see what it looks like when he gets in there.
Yeah, good point. I don't think he's going to really affect anyone too much. Maybe Brogdon a little bit or Bledsoe, but nothing to be concerned about. And yeah, let's see if he has value once he's in there. All right, on the Toronto side, let's start with Kawhi Leonard. He led the team with he did not lead the team. Sorry, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 18 shooting, 3 of 3 from the line, which we expect from him. A 3-pointer, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, and just a single turnover. Serge Ibaka did lead the team in scoring, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 9 of 21 shooting. Had a really good game. 4 3-pointers, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. What a great renaissance is the right word for him this year, back in the mid-round value. Kyle Lowry, someone that has been struggling, 0 points on 5 attempts, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. All his attempts were 3-pointers. Did not have a steal, had a block, and 3 turnovers. This guy is not, in his last 4 games, has not broken 10 points. I'm going to say it's a slump and not, well, I don't want to say that. There's been no reports of any injuries or anything to know about from anywhere in that camp or that organization. So we have no idea if it's something more that's going on. He is playing 34 minutes. I would imagine if he did have an injury, it would have leaked out by now. So I'm going to say it's just a slump and not to worry about it. Fred VanVleet had a nice game off the bench, 27 minutes, 19 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists on 7 of 12 shooting, 5 3-pointers, and a steal. Obviously, if Lowry were to sit, this is the guy you want to pick up right away. Also off the bench, C.J. Miles played 14 minutes. Valanciunas just 13 minutes, 6-5 and 0. I guess you're hanging on to him if you own him, but he's hovering around 110 in 8 category leagues. Not much else to speak about. Oh, I forgot my guy, Pascal Siakam. I don't know how I forgot about him. 25 minutes, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 3-pointers, 3 blocks, Adrian. This guy is just a beast. He did not close the game. I don't know if you saw it. They went with, I think it was VanVleet was on the floor just for the matchup. But he is an integral part of this team now. He has jumped up to 46th on a per-game basis in ACAT, and I think he's going to finish somewhere between 35 and 50. So he's been remarkable to see this year. Any thoughts on Lowry or anything else on the Toronto Raptors?
Yeah, I just want to add, Neil, I wanted to ask you if, we've seen Lowry have some injury issues in previous season and currently on a pretty brutal slump here. This is 4 games in a row that he hasn't hit double-digit scoring. Maybe his fantasy owner is a little upset, a little frustrated. Do you think it's a wise decision to maybe try to buy low on him? Maybe float an offer for him, or would you not be interested in that?
Oh wow, that's a good one. I thought you were gonna go the other direction. Like, would you want to trade him if you had him because you're worried about his injury? But the other side of that is, would I want to pick him up? And I don't know. Not that I don't have anything to think he's injured. It's just it's been 4 games. I would just be a little hesitant to give up. Essentially, you probably have to give up a second or third round pick value, right? Like someone in the 30s, probably at the worst case scenario. And that's too risky a move because what if there is something wrong with him? Or what if the slump continues? So no, I wouldn't buy low on him. It was just too much of a risk for me. Not that I think there's something necessarily wrong with him. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other flip side to this is that if we do hear that Lowry may have some kind of issue, I do believe a couple weeks ago, last Saturday, he did say he had a sore back. Now, I don't think this is the reason why he's having an issue now, but I'm just trying to say, if Lowry does miss any time, it feels like VanVleet is the guy that you want to go after or play maybe for DFS purposes. Tonight with the 19 points in 27 minutes, he seems to step up when Lowry's struggling or if Lowry's out. So just keep in mind, if we do hear that there's some kind of issue, VanVleet's probably your guy. All right, Neil, should I move on to the next one? You got any closing thoughts? Or
Well, let's move ahead.
All right, next game I got up is the Utah Jazz and the San Antonio Spurs. And man, it's been pretty ugly for the Jazz. Actually, both teams were 13 and 14, I believe, going into this game. But the Spurs getting the win here, 110-97. I'm going to jump in on the Jazz side. And I'm going to start with rookie Rubio, who's surpassing my expectation for him this year. 26 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. But he did have 3 threes. He shot 11 of 23, was 101 from the line. Donovan Mitchell, 27 points, a block, 2 steals, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, 3 threes. The 8 of 21 was okay, and the 8 of 10 from the line was good. But Neil, I was really hoping that Donovan Mitchell could start contributing more in some of these other categories. Just 1 assist from him in 35 minutes. I mean, I've been saying this all season. It doesn't sound like it or feel like it's going to happen anymore, man. He is what he is, which is a great scorer. And unfortunately, at the moment, he's not more than that right now. Rudy Gobert with 12 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, a steal, a block, 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line. Joe Ingles, who had a beautiful game the other night, somewhat of a letdown here, only took 5 shots, made 2 of them for 5 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. No threes tonight, which is a major buzzkill for Joe Ingles. 1 of 2 from the line. Derek Favors, maybe, though, the big letdown of the evening. Only 2 points in 24 minutes. He did have 2 blocks, 2 steals. Love those defensive stats. 1 assist and 8 rebounds, but the scoring just took 2 shots tonight in 24 minutes, so not involved at all offensively. The bench, not a lot to talk about. Crowder, who we were hoping could be a fantasy viable guy. It's not happening for him. Only 2 points in 19 minutes. Corver, 5 points in 15 minutes. We were not excited about him when he joined the Jazz. Cephalosha, Exum, they're all not doing much. What do you think of the Utah Jazz, Neil?
Oh, man. I'm sorry about Donovan Mitchell. It's
ugly, man. It is so ugly.
I mean, he is a prolific scorer. He just has to get more to his game and hasn't developed this season just yet. I would say give him a couple more years and he'll get there. Yeah, this team basically has 4 guys you can own. I know Favors is on the per-season basis inside the top 100, but he's now splitting starts between himself and Crowder depending on the matchup, and just getting 24 minutes tonight and taking 2 shots. That'll eventually mean his ranking's going to drop, and Crowder can't do enough in limited minutes. So those 4 guys are doing okay. Rubio, we've seen have some good nights and some okay nights tonight. Obviously, it was a great night in shooting. But this team, I just don't know what's going on. I had penciled them in for like 50-plus wins this year, and they're on pace to go about 41 and 41. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, I'm going to go over to any other things before I go over San Antonio side?
Nope.
All right, San Antonio, nice win for them, led by DeMar DeRozan, played 38 minutes, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists on 10 and 23 shooting, perfect from the line, 6 of 6, 2 steals, and a block. Rudy Gay had the second highest night in points, 23 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, 10 of 16 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line, a steal and a block, 3 turnovers. Derek White, someone we had talked about maybe picking up once he got back in the starting role. He's had the starting role at times and has had not. And even in their starting role tonight in 30 minutes, didn't really do much. Just took 6 shots, made 3 of them for 6 points. He had 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Did have 3 steals, but 2 turnovers, so way outside rosterable value in standard leagues. LaMarcus Aldridge, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, shot well tonight, 10 of 15 from the field, and 3 blocks. Good to see the defensive stats as well. Bryn Forbes, I think if you take a chance on one of these no names or lesser no names, I should say, in San Antonio, it's Bryn Forbes. 31 minutes, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 6 of 8 shooting, 2 of 2 from the line, a 3-pointer. No defensive stats and a single turnover. Patty Mills, 8, 2, and 2 off the bench with 2 3-pointers. Bellinelli playing 24 minutes. Still kind of on the outside looking in for maybe much deeper leagues, 10, 2, and 3 with 2 3-pointers, a steal and a block. Jakob Portal, He had he took a few steps forward. Now he took a step back. 19 minutes, 2 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists on 1 of 3 shooting, 1 block. I still think by season's end, Adrian, this guy could climb his way into fantasy relevancy. If you can sit and hold on him for a month, maybe that'll be worth it, or just wait until you get a couple more indications that he's ready. Any thoughts on that player, or anything else from the Spurs?
I was very excited on Friday when Jakob Poeltl put up 14 points with 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists against the Los Angeles Lakers. Was a big part of the reason why the Spurs beat the Lakers that night. I thought, Neil, I was thinking to myself, this could be it, man. This could be the start of Poeltl. And then tonight, my dream just got shattered, man. But still just going to watch this guy. And as you mentioned, Derek White is continuing to disappoint me. I thought that once he got up to speed and got back from that injury, I thought he could be worth owning in this backcourt, but it's not happening for him. And yeah, I think you pretty much covered it all, man. I'm going to move on to the next team, or next game, I should say. Final game of the night. I believe this one was a blowout. The Charlotte Hornets beating the New York Knicks 119-107. Going to start on the Hornets side, and I'm going to start with Kemba Walker. 25 points, 4 steals, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He was 8 of 20 from the field, 4 of 11 from downtown, 5 of 5 from the line. Neil, this guy right now is the number 14 player in 9-cat league. So having a pretty good year, and really happy to see it. Jeremy Lamb continuing his good season as well. 19 points, 1 steal, 5 rebounds, a 3. He shot an efficient 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 2 from the line. It's a good game from him. Marvin Williams, Neil, I was able to pick this guy up when he got hurt in some deep leagues, and so far it's been pretty good, or it's worked out okay. 13 points, a steal, an assist, 5 rebounds. He shot 4 of 9 from the field, 3 threes tonight, 2 of 2 from the line. Cody Zeller is having some decent late round value because of games like this. 12 points, 3 steals, a block, 2 assists, 7 rebounds. He was 5 of 5 from the field, 2 of 2 from the line. It's a pretty good game from Zeller. Of course, I dropped him in like every deep league that I owned him in. Nicolas Batum, man, it's been somewhat of a letdown season from him. 6 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. The usage is so low, man. He only took 6 shots in 24 minutes. He did have 2 threes tonight, which was nice, but still a little disappointing here. Tony Parker, man, 16 points in 17 minutes. He has these bursts off the bench where he can do this, but we can't figure out when that is, so we can't count on him. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, we can't count on. Miles Bridges, who I've been really hoping could break out this year. It's not happening. Malik Monk's taking a backseat to Jeremy Lamb. What are your thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets, Neil?
Yeah, Zeller's hanging around in value in standard leagues, but I don't have the patience for him. You know, it's just 24 minutes per game. Tonight did get to play 26, and you know he went 5 of 5. Otherwise, he's putting up Kyle Lowry type numbers on the point side. It's unfortunate. He does bring a skill set the team needs to win for sure. He's their best center in terms of real NBA. Just doesn't do much in the stats. You know, and then Nicolas Batum is the other one let's talk about. He's slowly fading out of relevancy and standard leagues. I own him in one league, and I've just been hanging on just to see what happens. I'm usually quick to cut bait with guys, but when I draft them, like I think I drafted Batum, I'm not sure what round, somewhere in the back half of the draft, but early back half, so maybe like 7th or 8th round or something, thinking he would have a resurgence this year. It's just much harder for me to cut bait with someone like that, although I've cut bait with lesser players at this point. So I'm just waiting for someone on my waiver wire to kind of like spark my interest, and then before I do it. But I don't believe – I've watched him play a few times now. He looks a little slower than before. This team doesn't seem to add a whole lot of value there. Kemba's running everything. He used to be a guy who could facilitate some of the offense. He's not doing that much anymore. So I don't think it's going to happen for him this year, but I'm going to hold on and see. That's what I've got on this team. Like you said, Bridges and Monk. Yeah, those guys I think are future players, contributors in this league and future fantasy assets. Just not there yet in terms of being able to be owned. So those are my thoughts on the Hornets. I'll go to the Knicks, which is, thanks for leaving me, the most frustrating team in all of fantasy. My God. All right. Anything else before I start go through their box score?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. So they were led. I'm going to start off with a weird thing since the Knicks are so weird. Kevin Knox off the bench, 41 minutes, 26 points, 15 rebounds, 10 of 25 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 4 3-pointers and a steal, 3 turnovers. Oh gosh, sorry. No turnovers. Wow. Okay. Tim Hardaway Jr., 21 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists on 7 of 13 shooting, 3 3-pointers, 2 steals. Enes Kanter, very quiet game, 6 points, 4 rebounds, just played 18 minutes. I think it was just the bench was outperforming them. Did not have a 3-pointer, a free throw attempt, or a defensive stat. Noah Vonleh had a decent game, 9 assists. Didn't see that coming. 10 rebounds, 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting, a 3-pointer, 2 turnovers. His only make was a 3-pointer. Noah Vonleh. That is so bizarre. Okay, Mario Hezonja gets a start as well. Plays 5 minutes. Is not injured from what I can see. Did not get in foul trouble. 0 points, 1 rebound. He must have really pissed someone off in the 5 minutes he was out there on the coaching staff. Missed all his shots. No steals, no blocks. All right. Moutier has been the one guy we thought might be the third guy you can own here in this league. Getting the starting point guard role with Trey Burke also out with injury. He just played 19 minutes, so disappointing night from him. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists on 3 of 9 shooting. No steals, no blocks. Off the bench, okay, Damian Dotson played 31 minutes, 12 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists on 6 of 8 shooting. And then the biggest surprise of the night, Frank Ntilikina, who I thought went into the witness protection program, plays 20 minutes, 18 points, 1 assist, 7-11 from the field, 4-4 from three-point land, ended up fouling out in those 20 minutes. Mitchell Robinson off the bench, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and got his 2 blocks as well. All right, so here's my take on the Knicks. Hezonja definitely not owning. You had talked about last time Vonleh being worth owning. I'm going to second that. I think I agree with you last time, but now it's almost getting definite. When they can be this wacky of a lineup and changes in rotation, he still gets 30 minutes. I think his role is solid there. So if you need a rebounder, a guy who can get defensive stats, no, Vonleh's your guy. Very low end, I should say. Kanter still worth owning. Moutier, I would still speculate on him if you need a point guard to pick up. I think he has a chance to be okay. Kevin Knox, despite his great night, he has such stat set issues. He shoots 35% from the field and 65% from the free throw line. So I'm not trusting him at all. Even if he does start to put up nice popcorn numbers, he'll kill you in those 2 areas. And Ntilikina as well. I like this guy, and I'm glad to see him getting minutes. I just don't think he's worth fantasy. He's going to have much fantasy value, or you can't trust it at least. So I know I was very long-winded. What are your thoughts on the Knicks?
I agree with you. The Knicks are the number 1 most frustrating team in fantasy because from night to night, it is impossible to guess which guy, probably other than Tim Hardaway Jr., which guy is going to go off. Tonight, as you mentioned, it was Knox and Ntilikina. Tomorrow, it could be Moutier and it could be Hezonja. Even a guy who you feel is safe, like Kanter, only got 18 minutes tonight. It's just, this team is so aggravating, Neil. I have spent the better part of the beginning of the season chasing them, and I'm tired of it, man. It's like I'm getting to the point where now I know it's just not possible to know. I do love your take on Vonleh. I own him in a few leagues, my home league. And as you said, he seems like the only fringy guy here who's safe because consistently getting 30 minutes. He only took 5 shots tonight, so the scoring was down. But most nights he does shoot more and shoot better than this. And I love that he had 10 rebounds and 9 assists tonight. That's great. And Ntilikina, man, why don't they play this guy more? I don't know, Neil. This is aggravating. He actually fouled out of this game. I'm curious if he didn't foul out, would he have gotten more minutes here? I wish we could know that he's going to be a solid part of the rotation now so we can go grab him. But, it wouldn't surprise me, Neil, if this guy gets 0 minutes in the next game. So this is just I'm bald. If I had hair, I would lose my hair if I tried to figure this team out, man. What do you I don't know. Do you got any closing thoughts here, man?
If I saw the news reports right, the only thing I noticed was Coach Fizdale was ejected for arguing Ntilikina's last foul. I don't know if that means anything, except he probably wanted to leave as well. So it's hard to know. We had talked about last week that maybe they've given up on him. Ntilikina, I think you saw some reports that maybe they thought he was not going to be part of their future and he wasn't going to get many minutes. But we know Burke's out for a while, who seems to be in favor. Oh, also Alonzo Trier didn't play either. So that might have contributed to his minutes as well. So we'll see if he gets anything going forward. Yep.
Good call on Trier. And as you mentioned, yeah, I read reports that they were kind of fed up with Ntilikina. They didn't really believe in him anymore, that he could be on the move. There was also a report that a number of teams were interested in him. There's also buzz, Neil, that Courtney Lee could be on the block and that they could move Courtney Lee, which makes sense because he doesn't seem like a part of their big future or their long-term plan. So look at this team could probably make some moves during the season or at the trade deadline. I don't know. Who knows what the Knicks are up to, man? All right. Any closing thoughts on the game or just the night in general?
No. It's been, like I said, a good fantasy week for me. It's always satisfying to notch up a win or two. So happy for that. Still trying to figure the Knicks out. The Suns are nuts. And I don't know if you saw my Chicago Bulls yesterday.
Biggest loss was that like the biggest loss in franchise history, I heard. It was bad, huh?
They looked like the Phoenix Suns. They were like, the Celtics just came in. I know they were off a back-to-back. They had a nice win against OKC on Friday night. So they weren't traveling. They were home, but I knew they would be a little tired. I thought about betting on Boston, and I should have, because they won by like 60. It was crazy. It was absolutely just a beat down. It's like watching a football team lose like 50-0, like a pro team. It's just crazy. Just crazy.
So the Bulls right now, currently the worst team in the East with 6-21 record. The only team that's worse than them are the Suns with a 4-22 record. Neil, maybe the Bulls are dreaming of Zion, man.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Cleveland only has 6 wins. Atlanta has 6. I have a feeling the Bulls are going to try to win. I think this new coach doesn't want to lose his, he doesn't want to go in there and tank. And so we'll see what the management does to get him to change. But obviously, Dunn's coming back. Markkanen's getting ramped up. So I think they're going to get better, but we'll see.
All right, you guys.
Yeah, nothing else. We've got a big slate tomorrow. Yeah.
We got a big slate. Let's do it. I believe we are rolling into week 9 of the NBA season, you guys. We're deep into it, man. You guys better be grinding. You guys know what your team needs are, what you need to do. Go out there, be making trades, be making pickups, do your thing. Want to remind you guys, go get the in-season premium membership, which is on sale right now for $14.99. You guys, I think just for the add and drop advice alone, it's worth the price. There's also pre and post game coverage, rankings, projections, dynasty stuff, DFS stuff. You guys can interact with the HB pros. Go and get the in-season premium membership, guys. Neil, any final thoughts here?
No, just hit me up on Twitter. I've had a couple conversations today, so thanks for people shouting out to us. VP, our main guy, Chef, a guy who works here, has been tweeting with me, so that's nice as well. I can be reached at Ball with Neil on Twitter, and You are, I'll just say yours because it feels weird not to. At Adrian Benjamins. You want to take us out of here?
Yes. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.